Hi, welcome to Adobe Live. I am Danielle Morimoto, and I am your host today. And I am a senior experience designer here at Adobe, and we are joined with our special guest, Cody Brown,
Hello
for day
again.
two.
Day two. Let's do it.
Exciting to have him back. We are going to be in Adobe XD and designing live, so you'll be able to see Cody's process and ask him a bunch of questions. Before we do, let's get into the agenda that we've had for this week and sort of give you a sense of what's been going on. We had Voodoo Val, who's been on with the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge, and then after that, Jesus was on for digital imaging. And then there is an Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge that's been going on, and Sam Anderson was on just before us and was explaining a bit about that. And then obviously Cody is back for day two, which is super exciting. So he'll give a summary if you didn't see his stream yesterday around what we sort of were working on, and then he'll get a little bit into kind of where he's going to be going today.
Yes.
I see some familiar names in the chat. From yesterday, Richard, hello, Tim, Val,
Hey, Tim.
Everybody, yeah, Eric. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from, where you're joining us. And we are obviously live in San Francisco,
Yes, we
in
are.
the Adobe office. So yes, there is the Daily Creative Challenge, so I do want to note that is happening. So make sure that you're going to the XD Challenge and checking out the, I'll refresh this. The scan barcodes is today's challenge. So you'll design an experience that scans and sorts recyclable goods.
Recyclable. That's kind of a hard
It
word
was
to
a
say.
I actually am really bad. I was not prepared to say that word.
You got it, though.
Thank you. And then we also have a chat and win again today. So in 30 minutes, we will be picking a winner. So make sure that you head on over to the Behance chat and are engaging and asking Cody questions around process, design questions, career questions, anything and everything. Yeah. Throw it in the chat and we'll get to you. Let's see. Who else do we have
Czech
in here?
Republic.
Yeah. Thomas, hello. Arletta, thank you for joining us. Gladstone, we're really excited that you all are with us on the stream today. We're here to just engage with you guys and talk about design and oysters.
All things design.
Yeah,
Oysters.
Well, that was our topic yesterday that came
Yeah.
up quite a bit. So with that, I will throw it over to Cody and I'll let you kind of summarize and go through what we worked on yesterday a little.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So yesterday we had some fun designing some wireframes. We actually started with some sketches. Well, I started with some sketches before the stream, but this is sort of where we started to kind of ideate what we wanted on our actual wireframes. So you've got some kind of rough sketches here. And then we went into some actual designed wireframes. So we designed on the stream live and kind of went through, I think, about 3 pages. So we had like a home page, a build order page, and a your basket page. And the idea here was to build a sort of a web app for a seafood cafe. If you didn't want to stand in line at a restaurant, you could order through your app, quick add things to your basket, and then go to your table, maybe have a drink, and then your food eventually comes to you, and you don't have to wait in line. So that was the whole concept. And I think today we're going to actually get into some design, which I'm excited about. So we'll design and prototype. I think we'll do probably maybe 2 to 3 interactions. I think that's probably what we'll have time for, but we'll kind of see how it goes. And I'll just jump into where we left off. And so we named it Portside. That was the name that everybody sort of voted on, which I'm happy because it was actually a name that I liked myself. So.
But you put it first, so you wanted people to subconsciously
pick it. So it worked out. This is our color palette that we explored yesterday too. So you'll see us start to apply these colors to the design. And I think we'll start with the home page just because we'll go left to right here. So what I'm going to do is actually just kind of plop in my images on top of my wireframes. Let me get out a full screen real quick. How do we get out of full screen? There we go. 1 second, guys.
Is it stuck in a funny mode?
It's stuck in a funny mode. Okay, here we go. Perfect. So now that we have our homepage, I'm going to pull up some images that I have from Adobe stock. I'm thinking for the homepage hero image, I want like a nice like top-down sort of image of like some good food. So the first impression that you land on is really all about the food and all about what you're going to experience. So I think I have, let's see here, some good images pre-selected. These are oysters.
Nice. Oh my gosh. Naturally.
Let's see here.
I thought about like if it had been something more accessible where it was like, you know, I was like, should I bring in oysters? Like I was like, that'd be like, where am I gonna get oysters? It was like a whole thing. I did.
There's tons of places in San Francisco you can get them.
To like on stream randomly be like, and
we
I
got
brought you
some.
your oysters. Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't keep for too long. So I just literally dragged the image right on top of the container here, and I'm just gonna delete these lines since we don't need them anymore. They're not our wireframes. And right now you can't really see the text because it's gray still. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make those 100% white. Let me just expand this real quick. And so it's still a little bit hard to read, I think. So I might even add like a box just to kind of make sort of like an overlay, like a gradient overlay to kind of let that text pop a little bit more. So let's go ahead and just add a fill linear gradient. And I'm gonna go 100% black on both of these. And then on one end of the spectrum, I'm just gonna go all the way to 0. So it kind of has like a fade. I'm gonna make sure it's underneath my titles. So we can kind of just bring this up and make sure that this border's gone. So there you can kind of see it's a little bit more legible on top of that image. It's kind of a fun little trick. Ideally, you want your images to be kind of worked on in Photoshop maybe beforehand, so that you don't really have to add extra elements onto this, but I think this will work nicely for what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think it goes nicely with like you talked about a little bit yesterday when we were doing like the design review section and we were kind of looking at designs. Whenever you have like white text or something like that on top of an image, like imagery, like making sure that all your text is legible.
Totally.
And like your trick of kind of using, you know, some type of gradient like background or something like that, just to have like a little bit more color behind it.
Totally.
Yeah, helps.
Little things like that totally go a long way, and they're a time saver for sure. So now that we have that, I want to make our actual logo real quick.
Oh, sweet.
So I'm going to use the same font that we've been using, the Orpheus. That's Attrament, but I think in our layer styles we have. And I'll probably just bring this down to maybe like 24. Portside Cafe. Oops. We'll bring this up maybe around there. And if I copy this and click into my component, I think I made this a component yesterday. I can just paste this in. Maybe 24 is a little big. Maybe like 22. Oops.
Yeah, and you can tell it's a component because it has the green outline versus a blue outline.
Right. So it should be updating. Yep, it's updating over there too. So that's good. That means that the component is working. And I'm just going to delete this this box that I had before. It's not necessary anymore. And I think for like an icon for this, like a logo icon, we might just go with like a cool like anchor or something like that. So I can come into the plugins that I have here, go to icons and symbols, and just type in anchor. I'm gonna just pick one of these guys. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
It's a little thick though. I might kind of bring it down. I like the circle, so I might just make this like a stroke around it or something. So it's sort of like a circle stroked logo. And then even just bring this down a little bit. I might have to group. Let's see. If I make it a path, no. If I grab this, no, it's not letting me, but we'll just go ahead and make this white and then make this white as well. I wonder if I need to group this guy.
Yeah, I think it's because it has responsive resize on it.
Oh, yep, that'll
Yeah.
get you. So if I turn that off, there we go. Good catch. Maybe like a 1.5 and then a 1.5 on this guy too. So that's cool for now. I think I might want to make that the gold logo, the gold color though, so it kind of pops off the page a little bit more. Or the gold color, I should say. So if I come down, I'm just going to sample the same color. While I'm here, I might as well just add this color so it's kind of accessible for my color palette.
Yeah,
selection.
so a lot of people ask sometimes, like, what's the difference between having colors that you populate in the color picker on the right-hand side versus, like, you have the assets panel that we talked about yesterday on your left-hand side. And I feel like, and the main difference is that on the left-hand side, if you like change one of those colors or something like that, it changes across your entire document. But
it's
the
global.
right-hand side, isn't global. It just is kind of like a quick cheat to like start to access colors and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you will find you're kind of constantly going in this, so it's nice to have those as kind of like a little bit of a helper.
Yeah. Instead of always like eye dropping or something. Yeah.
And sometimes you might not be in your component tab, so it's nice to just have them there. So then we have our basket icon here, and then our search. It's kind of hard to see because it's on a gray, like gray on gray. But I believe I made these components too. So when we're designing, we can just make these white.
Nice. And Thomas in the chat was saying, I was excited about this stream the whole day. Yay, I'm glad.
Thanks, Thomas. We're glad
Thanks
to have
for joining
you.
us.
Thanks, Rachel. Welcome in the stream. I might bring this up a little bit more just to kind of fade it out. It wouldn't be a bad idea if like I brought up another one for now just to kind of make these a little bit more legible. I'll probably turn them down quite a bit. But again, you want to do this in your Photoshop image. This is just for the stream, but it allows them to kind of stand out a little bit more. And then we'll go to our build your order button. And let's just go to our colors. I might try this dark, kind of darkish, bluish black. And if I double click, I have the ability to round my corners. I think I'm gonna do like a 5. There we go. You can see those got rounded. So it's a little bit like more approachable, still kind of sophisticated. It's not super round like a big kind of like pill icon or a pill button, but it definitely has a little bit more softness to it. And I believe, see, that updated my learn more as well since I used a component for that.
So I was going to ask you yesterday, is that your mom in the chat?
Is that my mom? That is my mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Cody's mom. Okay, because
she's making me blush
she
right
came
now.
through, I think, yesterday, and you had mentioned that your mom was going to be on. But I didn't want to be like, if someone else was calling you son, I guess maybe it could, I don't know.
That would be weird. That would be weird if somebody out there was
But that's why yesterday I was a little nervous to say something. But, okay.
I didn't know she was actually going to be in the chat. I knew she'd be watching on like
Right.
maybe like YouTube or something, but
Yeah, that's very nice for her to join.
thanks, Mom. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to line this up, the top of this to the bottom of the button, and I'm going to come down. If I hold Shift and I go down arrow, it'll go 10 pixels every time. So it's kind of a little trick to kind of make sure that your spacing's correct. So we're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 60 pixels is what we're going to use for spacing. And then right here, well, let's update this too. Let's make sure that we click that. That's our card title. That's our H1. I'm just gonna leave it at that for now.
Yeah, your mom's getting so much love in the chat.
Hey, Cody's mom. So here's where we want to add like another image just to kind of sell the vibe of the restaurant. Maybe not a top down, but maybe more of like a lifestyle of somebody doing something in the restaurant. So I found this cool one, and you're probably gonna hate this because you don't like oysters, but I found this cool image that's kind of like airy of like seems like a woman's hands like kind of shucking an oyster. So I thought this was kind of cool.
So when you look for photography and stuff like that, where do you generally like go for kind of picking out images
that's a good
and stuff?
For these ones, I looked on Adobe stock. There's actually a pretty good selection as far as like seafood related kind of theme images. They actually have like a premium section too, which are like really, really nice images. But these are all found on the standard images, which are still pretty awesome. So Adobe stock is probably the big one. You know, I've gone on like some other sites like Shutterstock and things like that. But typically like this works really well with like the Adobe products. So it's kind of just like all in one really. So, but I'll also look up like photographers that are like local to like San Diego or like LA and kind of grab inspiration from them, because a lot of times you can kind of use those in a comp as like a, I don't know, like just something to kind of like reference when you're in the early concepting phases.
Totally.
So yeah, I might round this a little bit too. Just like, we'll stick with the 5 rounded corners here.
Yeah, and let us know in the chat like what other places you guys go to get images and kind of search for your photography. I see Jonathan sort of mentioned Unsplash as well. Yeah, there's a ton of different places that you guys can get resources.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the one benefit, I mean, the one thing about Adobe Stock, I will say, is the integration, obviously, within the product. So, like, you can go to Adobe Stock, find an image, and you don't have to, like, license or buy it right away. You could just add it to, like, your Creative Cloud library and then open your library in, like, XD and, like, drop it in. And it'll have the watermark, but you can kind of test out how it looks in the layout before you start doing anything. And then, you know, once, if you like it and you actually want to use it, then you can actually just grab it and you'll already have it in your design. So.
Totally. So this is like the library that I put together before the stream just to kind of have, and then I was able to like download those and kind of use them in the stream here. So
Nice.
So I added like a background element here just to kind of make it a little bit more, start to introduce that color palette that we have on the left here. Just sort of like a cool treatment, like a little bit of it adds a little bit more dimension and variety to the page. We're going to have a lot of white space, so I think this is an opportunity to kind of add a little bit more personality. I also kind of want to add like an element that maybe overlaps here, sort of like a graphic or kind of like a badge. So we might have to hop into Illustrator really quick to do that, but I don't know, just like a little bit of like an embellishment on top of this, because it is going to be mostly images. I want to add a little bit of like graphic elements here. So let's see if I can open my Illustrator. And we could probably reuse this anchor as like that graphic and just put some like text around it, perhaps like a type on a path or something like that.
Nice, yeah.
So I'll just bring this up. Maybe since it's scaled up, we'll go to like point size 2. And then I might make a circle around this. Actually, I might not make a circle. I'm going to go straight in here. File, new. And then if I just make a circle really quick in Illustrator, this is going to be our path that we're going to just kind of wrap some text around. So you'll go to your type on a path tool, and that's really small. I'm just going to say like, what do we say on the homepage here? Always fresh, no exceptions. Maybe we can fit that in. Always fresh, no exceptions. I'm not a copywriter, guys, so don't, you know, don't hold me to that. And then we'll go to our attribute font. And if I hold Option and just right arrow, I can kind of space these out a little bit. Make sure that's spelled right. Nope. Exceptions. Is that right?
Except no E.
No
there,
E here.
Yeah.
That looks like accept petitions. Okay, so.
Both of us, I had to tilt our heads to read that. We're like, oh.
I'm gonna add like a little dot there. And then if I copy, edit, paste in place, I can bring this around. I'm gonna have to reduce the font size a little bit. It's kind of just a cool little like adornment kind of design here that we can just wrap around. So I can just copy it from Illustrator and paste it right in. It's kind of big, but we can shrink this. And I'll make it the same gold color. What is the wing? What is the wind thing? Not sure what that means. All right. I might bring this down a little bit to kind of match. And I believe this text should be live, so I might be able to actually, no, it's gonna be like that. I might have to change my font a little bit. So this is a little bit lengthy. I might just say like fresh seafood. Just so it'll work a little bit better on this design. Make this a little bit bigger. That's part of the process when you're designing. Like sometimes you think it'll work and then it just doesn't kind of flow. You kind of just come in and make some tweaks. I think that'll stand out a little bit more than what I had before. So we'll copy that. Get rid of these guys. And we'll scale this down.
Jonathan says it's looking really good. Cody Brown magic.
Oh gosh.
Magic. We're back on the magic theme.
Maybe that's gonna be my new thing, is like
Yeah.
I'm a magician now.
I should have brought you a magician's hat.
Oh
or like
gosh.
a wand or something ridiculous instead of oysters.
Maybe like that could be like the magical trick, is that you can just make oysters appear whenever you want.
Oh, wow. That's your superpower?
We're just gonna call this badge. So yeah, I might come back to this later and like fine tune it, but I think just some kind of cool graphic element that kind of sits here, just to kind of break it up.
I like that. And it's cool to see your process of like whether, like it's not always going to work right away. Like
Yeah.
if you notice that it's like a little too like small or thin, like kind of go back and rework it.
I'm a little nervous. Okay, I'm on the stream, you know, sometimes things don't work out the way you plan, but yeah, I can always like update this later and make it a little bit more legible. But yeah, some kind of graphic element that just adds a little bit more personality to the brand here. So then we want to put our location. So maybe there's like a cool cafe image. So I found this one that kind of looks like it could be a seafood restaurant. Kind of fits the vibe. Like you got this color that kind of relates to these like beautiful lights in the restaurant here. Let's get rid of our lines here. But I love being able to just plop images straight into like a container that you made. It's like very, very helpful and a lot less like sizing that you have to worry about. So
Totally. And like dropping images into repeat grids are always like one of my favorite things because
Yeah.
it just populates everything for you.
that's the real magic.
Do you have all these images you said in a Creative Cloud library also? Or no?
I have them just on my desktop, but
Oh, okay.
I probably should have done that, to be honest. So this is a little bit kind of hard to read, but we can add, maybe there's like another design element that we introduced that has like, it's like a container that's like semi-transparent. So might bring this down to like 50. And then let's just come above our, let's see, what image are we on? There we are. This is why it's important to label your layers. Let's call this overlay. We'll copy that, come to this group, paste. Maybe we'll bring it up a little bit. Maybe we'll add like a border just to kind of help bring that brand color in again. I think I can just bring this guy in a little bit too. I don't know, just some kind of cool like container that like just brings in a little bit more graphic treatments here. So we'll stick with that for now. And now let's design our cards. So we have a repeat grid element here. I'll bring this down quite a bit.
Cool. And I'll say hi to Dee on the chat. Thanks for joining us again. People are kind of coming in with a bunch of like awesome work. This is so amazing. I'm sold. It's Eric. Dragomir says looking good. And Jonathan says choice of typography is on point for this.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it helps to kind of like bring in that like the sophistication of the brand we're trying to go for here. It's like, you know, you can see this image here. It's like very like high end kind of restaurant. It's hard to see through this like overlay, but you know, a very contemporary kind of fun seafood eatery.
Yeah, and I think to your point of like where Cody started yesterday, kind of thinking about the look and feel that you want to have for your app and like, or like whatever it is that you're designing, so you can kind of always refer back to that, because I feel like stylistically you've chosen like your photography to go with that sort of like, you decided to do a more kind of like elegant, sophisticated
Right.
seafood restaurant or like cafe, so your design elements have kind of spoken towards that as well.
Yeah, like just being mindful of the types of images you're using, and sometimes it's helpful to make a mood board before, so you kind of like have like an obvious look and feel pre-selected. So when you are designing, it's just a matter of plopping images in like this.
Totally. And Maria, hi, thank you for joining us on your first time watching Adobe Live.
We got some
It's nice to have you.
oysters. Take out these cross pieces again. And I actually, like, yesterday kind of worked on this a little bit more, and I made sure our images were, 300 by 300, so they're consistent.
Oh, nice.
The width, well, this guy's not 300, but make him 300 by 90. And then I'm going to get rid of the stroke on this background of this card. And I'm going to add, just on the bottom, like right and left edges, I want to add like that 5 pixel kind of curve. Can't really see it because it's white on white right now, but I'm going to add a subtle drop shadow to this guy. So if we double click in here, click shadow, we can add a nice little drop shadow. So this is the blur right here, B, and then this is the Y coordinates, like up and down. So I'm going to add maybe, it's like the distance where the shadow kind of drops. So I'm going to go maybe like 5 down. And see how this is kind of cutting off right now? It's because it's in a repeat grid. I can just expand this so that it allows, and we can space this out. And it's probably cutting off on the left too, so we can just kind of come in here and move our main element. And there we go. We'll just bring this back up. With the repeat grid selected, just come up and there we go.
Nice.
We need to round this button as well. So just the bottom right corner will round. So we'll come to this little guy and then give it a 5. And I want this to be like a darker color. Like right now it's still kind of in that wireframe mode. I think I'll just match the same color from our Learn More button. So I'll double click. We'll go back to our colors and I'll click that. And see how it updated across the board here? That's what we want. We might need to round these top edges too, now that I'm looking at it. So I'll come into my card and do the same thing. A 5. And see how there's like a little, like, it's like selected right here? You can see which corner that it's affecting, so it's kind of helpful.
Yeah, it starts top left to clockwise. It goes clockwise.
Yeah. And then I'm just going to make sure that this is in my layer styles. Title. Dark. And then if I just click on that, it applies it. Cool. And then so let's add a little icon here for the time. So like if you're waiting for your oysters, it says 10 to 15 minutes is when they'll be prepared. So maybe a cool little icon that shows a time symbol. So I'm going to go to my plugins and let's just see time.
I'm definitely getting this plugin. I actually haven't had this one yet for my XD, but I need it, yeah.
It works really well for stuff like this,
I feel like quick, yeah.
It helps if when you import you have like an element selected, I think, and it'll kind of put it next to it. Maybe not. I thought that that's what it did, but we'll just paste this in. Kind of size it down a little bit. I'm just going to place it right here. And so this is a component as well, so I'll just place it in there and delete that. And I think this could be like a lighter gray, just because it's not like the main focus, but we definitely want it to be visible.
So what's the name of that?
This one's just called Icons and Symbols. So if you go to your plugins tab here, you can click this plus and you can search for this one. So this one's just called Icons and Symbols. Yeah. There's a ton of cool plugins in here that I still need to learn about.
Yeah, we talked about plugins the other day, but yeah, there's a ton of amazing plugins now in Adobe XD that can help you with your designs. Like there's some that like will take your mocks and actually like put it directly like on an iPhone and like skew it, so you can actually like see it on a device or something like that. And then there's ones where you can have your typography, like all of your type, and see it like in a different language. You can see if your design, like what your design will look like if it breaks from English to like if you want to see like Japanese or you want to see a different language, then you can tell like if you need to adjust your design.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's another time saver.
Yeah, thanks Howard. Angle, that's the mock-up plugin.
Oh, what's up, Howard?
Cool.
Howard Pinsky's in the chat.
Yeah, hey, thanks for joining us. All right, so now we are going to head into the chat and win portion of today. So make sure that you're heading on over into Behance and being active in the chat, and you'll have a chance to win 100 free Sticker Mule stickers.
Awesome.
So this is chat and win. Okay, so we are back. This is the chat and win portion, so make sure that you're being active in the chat. Do you have any question, like a prompt or something for people for today?
What's your favorite cereal?
Ooh.
What's your favorite?
Okay, yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, easily Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, that's a
That
good
was like
one.
my childhood. I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Do you remember when they came out with a French Toast Crunch? It was like a limited edition.
Okay, like my respect for you has gone up so much.
That was my favorite for a while.
The commercials for those, like when I watch cartoons, it got me. I wanted it so badly.
It's so good.
What's your favorite?
I really liked, oh man, there's so many. I liked Reese's Puff cereal.
I was gonna say like Cocoa Puffs with like.
Cocoa
also
Puffs are really
my
good
jam. I
too.
love that, yeah.
Any puff related kind of cereal was really good.
It's just so sugary. I wasn't allowed to
yeah.
have it when I was a kid, so when I went to college and I realized that I could buy whatever I wanted, I went a little too ham on Cinnamon Toast Crunch, yeah.
Hey, you know what?
so
More power
much.
to you there.
All right, so we have our winner for today. Congratulations to Maria, who I believe it's your first time watching the stream today. Let us know, but congratulations. So you've just won 100 free Sticker Mule stickers.
Nice.
And someone on the Behance team will message you directly to let you know how you can claim your prize. For the rest of you, don't worry if you didn't win today. You can still use this code and head on over to Sticker Mule and get 10 stickers for $1 using the code.
Congratulations.
So yeah, awesome. Thank you for joining us on the stream. I see like everybody's coming in with,
French
Toast Crunch. Is that what it was called? Oh,
we gotta
my
bring
gosh.
it back. Is it still? Can you still
That
get it?
I would. Probably the best question I will hear all year.
Let us know, guys. Is it still out there?
I can't even speak anymore. It gets me so excited.
I want some right now.
Yeah, so good.
So yeah, I added a quick little like plus icon here, so you can imagine you just tap on it, and then maybe that changes when you click to like a check mark or something like that. I don't know, but it should have applied out. It applied it to all of our other cards, which is nice. While we're here, let's just make this part interactive, and then we can get to the footer if we want.
Oh, cool.
Footers are kind of boring, to be honest, so I might leave that for later. But I think we can make this a slide interaction. So let me move all these guys over real quick. Oops. I like to give myself some space when I'm doing like auto animate or any type of interaction, because you don't want your elements to leak over to like another artboard that you're not intending it to. So I'll just bring this over here. We're duplicating. And I'm gonna go to my prototype tab. Cool. So I'm gonna select the element that I want the user to interact with. So in this case, it's gonna be this first card. And I'm gonna bring this over here. And for our trigger, we're gonna click drag. And our action is going to be auto animate. And I want some sort of easing to happen. I don't want it to be like jarring. So if I go into my easing, I can go to ease in, ease out. And let's just see if that's working real quick. I can preview this. Okay, we got something going on here. Auto animate, ease in, ease out. Drag trigger. Let's try this again. It might be because it's a repeat grid item. Red alert, red alert.
Layering too.
Okay, so cards to share. We'll just call it cards to share 1. We'll call this cards to share 1. Make sure it's C. And I'm just going to put it on the top for both of them. Sometimes when your layers aren't lined up properly.
Well, they're in the same place too. Do you need to move it on your second artboard to the new location? Okay.
That's what I messed up. Good catch. I'm telling you, these live streams, man, they get you.
They get ya.
That's what we want it to do, so we have to actually move this over, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, so it'll look at your first artboard and your second artboard, and then whatever differences you have between, it'll animate between.
Voila.
Ooh, looks good.
Told you I was gonna make mistakes on this stream, so you guys all know.
Nah.
But yeah, so now we have like an actual drag feature. We can actually preview this on my phone to see if it's functioning properly, and we like the sizing and all that. So let's go ahead and take a quick look.
Make sure that you put your phone in airplane mode
Okay.
for us first.
Well, it has to be connected for me to see. Okay.
Yeah, so Cody has the Adobe XD app on his phone, so he's able to just plug it directly into his computer with a USB or whatever, right? And preview the actual design on his phone.
I've got to open up, I got to see if my file's in here. So we'll triple tap to access the menu. Okay.
And when you make like edits in Adobe XD, like on the application, you'll see them like in real time sort of change to your phone right away. So we talked about like a lot of yesterday, like if you have a design and you're trying to see like, oh, is my type too small, or like, does that button feel okay? Like, it's nice to actually go over to your device and like start to feel out how that actually is feeling, and then you can go back in and kind of make adjustments as you go.
I'm having some issues with connecting, but you can see even my wireframes, how you can kind of see how the size of elements are looking. So this will be pretty true to our actual design, but maybe we can figure that out later. But essentially, This is what we just designed on top of.
I think people are saying maybe save your file.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it is updated just in case.
File, save. Yeah, I'm connected.
Yeah.
I think there's something going on with the internet connection, but
Yeah.
we'll try it later. But yeah, so we have the interaction happening, which is nice. We'll go ahead and look at that one more time. So you can imagine you're just kind of browsing through and checking out some different food items here. So yeah, so we'll keep that there.
And it's so fun to like, I mean, it's so simple to actually put like that drag action and start to like get elements like those cards to like swipe like you would actually want it and expect it to.
Yeah.
But it like brings your designs to life, which is
Totally.
super fun.
And see, look, I forgot about this guy over here. It's also one of our components. So that updated, all the work we did here was applied to our other wireframe, which is kind of nice.
That's awesome.
I might just need to kind of push him on the side right here, scoot him over. But let's make, really quick, let's make this page responsive for a tablet, because we have to account for that. So I'm gonna bring this over, and I'll duplicate this, and I'm gonna call this first one just like home mobile, just so we know that this is our mobile size, and go to like 375 is our width, so I'll just call it that. And we'll call this one home tablet 768. That's like a typical like iPad size for the width. I think that's like not portrait mode, but
Landscape?
landscape. No, it is portrait mode. Sorry. 1024 I think is what landscape is. But so what we're gonna do here is, right now if you try to just drag your artboard over to like size it for tablet, like nothing really happens. And so before you had responsive resize, this was kind of an issue. You'd have to come in and manually move things over and just size your buttons, and it kind of was a headache, to be honest. But
It's a huge headache that you have so many assets on there.
so we've got this cool feature called responsive resize that we can apply to our elements. So I'm just going to select these guys real quick and make sure they're all good to go. And let's just see here. Responsive resize, turn it on. And I'm just going to drag, and you can kind of see some things happening here. So our image is getting scaled up a little bit. The width is kind of doing what we want. And our button is actually scaling up too. Now, see how these guys are just kind of floating weirdly? We don't really want that. I kind of want to keep those together. So I'm gonna Control Z for both of those. And I'm gonna come into my icons, and I'm just gonna group these together so that they kind of have a relationship together and kind of stick to the side of the page here. So let's group those. We'll just call those like nav icons right. So now, ideally when we size this again, we should get some better behavior from these guys. Yep.
Nice.
So that's kind of nice. So we'll drag it over to like 768, and you can type in your value here. So for the most part, that looks pretty nice on like a tablet, I think. This is a little small, so we might have to tweak that, but I think responsive resize does a lot of the work for you, and it gets you in a good place to kind of then make some minor adjustments where you need to.
Yeah, it's a huge time saver. So the way responsive resize, yeah, like when you're in a mode like that, you can kind of see how it works because it has the little notches like at the top and all the four sides sort of going around.
Yeah.
And you can, for each element, like if it's not reacting the way you want it to, you can either do what Cody did, which is like start to group objects so that they have a clear relationship to each other. And you can also define then, like if you want it to have a fixed height or fixed width, or like I want it to stay fixed on the left side. So you can really start to define for each of your objects kind of like how you want it to react. So that way when you start to move other elements, like they have some type of relationship to each other.
Yeah, that's like you have this like manual section here. So like if these weren't, so I can show you. So like if these weren't sticking to the right side, like right now the auto is telling it to stick to the right side, which is nice. Like a lot of times, like responsive resize and XD is really like intelligent. It'll do things for you. But if you didn't want to stick to the right side, you could say like I want to stick to the left side of the canvas instead. So we might have to do that for some elements later on. We'll have to see. But like right now, this one is being centered. I like that. But if we didn't want that, I'll just show you really quick. If we didn't want that, let's just say we want this to be left justified. See, right now it's on left and right. We're gonna take off the right one, and I'll just size this up with responsive resize turned on. It'll kind of stay to the left, and that's just the way my box is made, so it's kind of a little goofy, but I'd have to left justify this text to then stick to the left. So super helpful if you're trying to, keep things lined up in a certain way. Anywho, so going back to our tablet. So this is kind of nice. It's a little cropped weird, so you might want to, for this, just kind of bring this down, and then you might have to play with your different sections and kind of move those down a little bit. But for the most part, it's doing things that we like. It got us to the point where we're happy with our design and spacing and things like that. So
nice. Yeah, let us know in the chat if you have any questions about responsive resize that Cody's just worked through, or if like you've used it on your own before. Yeah.
Sweet. Howard Pinsky, so fancy. Thanks, Howard. But I like these ones centered. Let's see here.
Yeah, I think the thing about responsive resize is it gets you most of the way, and then you can kind of start to go in and like tweak and adjust
Finesse.
the rest of it. Yeah, because it's not gonna get everything like perfectly, but it gets you a lot of the way there.
Yeah, the amount of work that it does do for you is pretty astonishing. I've never used the word astonishing in my life, and I just said it, so that's kind of weird. But yeah, so then you can kind of come in and just like, move items around and things like that. And it's actually helpful if you have a tablet to preview on there, so you can kind of see, like maybe this is actually too big. Like it looks nice to me right now, but on a tablet, maybe that's a little too big. So then you come in and just kind of, I like how this is responding. This guy's a little misaligned, but.
Nice. And while Cody's adjusting that, I do want to give you guys a reminder. We're close to the 45-minute mark for the design feedback for today. So there's I always point the wrong direction. It's the countdown. Yeah, see, it's the opposite of what you would think. We have the countdown going on. And what that is for the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge that we have going on. So make sure that you check out the challenge tab to get more information on how to download the challenge for today and send it on in so that Cody and I will take a look at the end of the countdown and be able to provide you guys some feedback on your designs. And the chat can also chime in as well. So it's just a great chance to get some feedback and improve your work and get a little XD time in.
Awesome. Yeah, so we can go in and play around with this more, but I think we should get to our build order page real quick. So I think we talked yesterday about making this like a color block. So I'm thinking we can utilize our blue that we have over here. You'll start to like, when you start building prototypes, they start to get kind of like wide in your XD file. So it's nice to have like labels for your different artboards. I'll typically group them by category if possible, or like sometimes I'll make an extra artboard up here that just like has, like in the Attractive Kit, I think I did that. I added like just different kind of like title boxes that kind of keep you just aligned. So we'll just say like home screen flow or something like that. You know what I mean? Like just to kind of keep your artboards organized.
Yeah, and it's great for when you share it out with other people, then people just know where everything is.
Yeah.
And the trick is definitely putting it on an artboard, I suggest, because otherwise when you go to like you said, like if you hit the edge of something, you decide to move all your artboards, when you select everything, if it's not on an artboard, it's not going to move with everything else.
Yep.
So definitely recommend making an artboard.
Good catch on that, yep. So then, yeah, I'm gonna make this box this blue color. And I'll just make sure I add that, so I have it here. Kind of zoom in. Make this white. It's a cute little basket.
Yeah, someone yesterday said it also seemed like one of those like crab pots, so it was like
Oh.
twofold. It was like a
Nice.
basket, yeah, along with your theme.
I think like the active tab could be underlined in a different color. And these might go to like, I don't know, like maybe like a 30% opacity because they're inactive. So they're still visible, but they're not the main kind of focus right now because we're on the brunch screen.
That blue, and then with that oyster pick, loving it. Looks good.
It's working, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we got some blue in the actual image. I wonder if like if I add an image here, if it'll update all of them or not.
I think it'll alternate 1, 2 for each of them.
Yeah, there we go. So let's just make sure we have some different images in here. Oops. Oh, it's going to the other artboard. So that's why I always like to give myself some space so that you're not dropping things on another artboard by accident. Gotta delete this. Come on.
You can also grab the 3 if you have all 3 in there. Just grab them and drop them in the first one.
Oh, that's right. That I always forget about that. So let's go oysters, pasta, salmon. I don't think I have them named like in order, so it won't work that way, but we'll update that one later. So yeah, and we have to make sure that this is applied to our H1 title dark. There we go. This is a little tall. I might bring this all up a little bit. Doesn't need to take up that much space on the on your phone. What did we say? 60 pixels from the?
Yeah, 60.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then maybe for a catch of the day, we can go back to our red color. And then change these to like a white. I wonder if the gold color will pop off this or not. Let's see what we can do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of works. I actually have this like vector that I found. That's a lobster. I wonder if we change this to I know you like the Alaskan salmon, but
To a
for the
lobster.
sake of this stream, we'll change this to lobster. Maybe like Maine lobster. Whoa. And I have this vector that's kind of cool. This like kind of like, I don't know, like field drawing of like a lobster. I like these, like it's like stippling kind of, which is pretty neat. I can paste this in. It's gonna be kind of big, so I'll have to scale it down quite a bit, but that's the thing with vectors is they're like infinitely scalable. All these points are like slowing down my computer here.
It has a lot of points.
You know what I'll do? I'll Control Z this and I'll make it smaller in the Illustrator first and then copy it. Uh-oh, the pinwheel of death.
I see that you named your file not "Good luck, Cody" today, but actually "Port Side." I was expecting
Yeah.
another like little message to yourself in your.
I was gonna put
your file
like
name.
"Welcome back, Cody" or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, you should have.
Yeah. So let's paste Probably best to save this as like a PNG or something, so it's not as like excruciating on the
Yeah, or
software.
you can, again, like using the Creative Cloud libraries, you can always add it like as a graphic to Creative
Right.
Cloud libraries, and then that way you can open your libraries in XD and drop it in really quickly then.
Come on, little lobster. Okay, so we could scale it up a little bit more. I just kind of want it as like a background element, like in this box. Like there's a little bit like more texture going on. And then I can sample this red color. Oops. Let's make sure we have our lobster selected. Let's just call him lobster real quick. And I'm gonna select the same red color, but then come like a little bit darker. Maybe something like down here. Oh, see all these paths? That's why it's kind of chugging a little bit on the software, because it's a really intricate illustration. So yeah, I recommend saving it out as like a PNG, smaller, or like even like, maybe it's all like one path. But let's see what happens here. I kind of want to like overlay it, the text on top of the lobster, so there's a little bit of like more dimension on this card.
Yeah, I think it's good playing with like, because you have really simple sort of like text colors and like everything like that, but you like added the like icon or like the logo sort of up on the other one to kind of bring a little bit of layering and like texture in there, which is cool.
Totally. And then I'm going to put him behind. And I want to size them up, but I'm not going to do it now because it's going to freak out my computer again. But you can see what I'm talking about. Just a little bit more texture, a little bit more of like a visual treatment here.
Yeah, Rachel in the chat's like, oh boy, that lobster has 15,000
I
paths.
know.
Like,
That's a lot. And then I'm going to round these corners too to like 5. So it's a little bit of a different sort of treatment. So like when you're coming down the page, you have these cards, you have a different sort of like graphic here, and then you go back to cards. So it's a nice visual break, I think. And I'm gonna make this, our button, the same as this color up here. And then let's grab this same little like plus icon here. For our quick add. And then I think the bottom right corner needs to be rounded as well. I wonder, should it be bigger? Probably. Maybe like 60. It kind of works. So you're coming down the page, you can add either one of these items, or you can add the catch of the day. We could even put a price in there. Copy our $18. How much is this lobster gonna be?
more than $18.
Like $28. This is a
Nice.
high-end place. So yeah, we might want to add drop shadow to this too, so it's consistent. Let's look at our settings for our drop shadow. So we have like the same. So we've got 5, 25. Let's just go to like 15.
I see some conversation in the chat about like if people are going to Max next month. I know Howard. Howard, are you going to Max? I know you mentioned that you were
I'll be going to
right?
Max,
So
yeah.
Cody will be there. Yeah, let us know in the chat if any of the rest of you guys are going out. I know Adobe Live will be there as well, like streaming. So that'll be exciting.
That'll be fun. Wait, are you going to this year or no?
I don't think it's like the first year. I don't believe
Okay.
I'll be going. It's usually a lot of work.
I'm sure. Yeah, because you hosted, or you did a keynote one time, right?
Yeah, last
year. Nice. I don't know how you could do that. That's terrifying to me.
They put you through the ringer. You're prepared by the time it comes around.
That's good. I might actually make this a little bit darker. 30. People are super good at making drop shadows. Mine are just very like subtle, you know. But I think it looks nice. So yeah, we've got that going on. I kind of want to see what it looks like if somebody adds an item. Like maybe you get like a button that pops up to like complete your order or something like that. So maybe we can play around with what that looks like. So I might grab this build your order button, and I'm gonna make a new artboard over here. I'm gonna paste this on there, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it an overlay so that when you click, say, this plus icon, this will like pop into frame. Hopefully this goes a little bit more smooth than the first drag gesture that we were trying to do. But you guys can help me out if I mess up again. So I'm bringing in my artboard. Let's just call it ready to check out. And then if I click this guy, go to my prototype tab, oops, and I link it to my artboard, if I did this right, let's see, tap, overlay, okay, so we can adjust where that appears, but it's working so far. Should have like a little green box that'll pop up here. There, so that's basically where it's XD's telling it to go right now. We don't want it to go there. We kind of want it to like come right above the fold and just overlay. So let's go ahead and try that one more time. Come down, add. That's kind of cool. Maybe instead of it just like appearing, we can have it like slide in. So I'm gonna click back on my button. And over here, if you go to like animation, right now it's set to dissolve, so that's why it kind of just like appears that way. But if we go to slide up, it'll come in from the bottom. Oops. So I want to add some oysters in my basket. Nope. Bam. It's still a little low.
Dude, Emerald Lagasse. Bam.
Bam. That'd be crazy if it actually just made some noise too.
Yeah.
You can like add audio, like bam.
That's right. Yeah, there's the voice like trigger as well. It's funny.
So that's kind of cool. I like that. Let's see. Let's link our home basket to our actual. Actually, this isn't our basket yet. Let's maybe we should make our basket if we have some time here. Okay, we still have 30 minutes. Sweet. I have to get to these cards. Well, this is the same element, so we can just copy and paste these there. So let's go ahead and design these cards real quick. Mm-hmm. Bam. Lots of stuff in the chat. All right. Now I'm just thinking about cereal, though, to be honest.
Oh, you're thinking about like
French Toast Crunch.
Oh, for whatever reason, since we were just talking about audio, I thought you meant like the podcast.
Oh.
I went somewhere totally different.
All right. So I should be able to take the same elements from here and just reuse them for the other card.
Nice. Speaking of audio though, and like podcasts, it's like a funny transition, but I actually have a little moment here. On my screen I don't know if you listen to like any podcasts. Have you ever listened to Wireframe?
Oh yeah, I love Wireframe, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Wireframe is actually an awesome podcast if you guys are interested in like hearing stories about like UI, UX designers, graphic designers, etc. And it's actually hosted by Koi, who is a designer here at Adobe. And so I highly recommend it. And it's they just came out with their second season, so give it a listen if you're interested.
Yeah, it's a really cool format too, the way they do it.
Yeah, I feel like we
music
talked
and
about
stuff.
like where you gather inspiration. Like we've talked about like going to Pinterest or Behance or Dribble, going outside and getting like fresh air, like listening to music. I feel like podcast is also like a great
Oh yeah.
thing that I'll do. Just like put my headphones in and kind of listen
Zone
to some,
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to
Podcasts.
some podcasts on my way from the airport in the BART all the way to the city, and it was just nice to kind of like look out the window and like there's just like beautiful scenery going on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like passively
Can you
listen.
though listen when you design?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your setup usually? Like, do you listen? Like, is it distracting to listen to music or watch TV? Or
I do like a little bit of both. Like I'll start my day off with like some Spotify, like just music like playlists, and then like after lunch I want to like consume a little bit more education, so I'll listen to like podcasts like Wireframe or like some other even like like stand-up comedians that'll do podcasts or
Totally.
even like some more like motivational stuff. So I think like a little bit of both is always healthy. I mean, for me personally.
Okay.
I
I don't know how you do. For me, I don't think I could multitask like that. Like podcasts, like getting information, it's too
Yeah.
hard for me to do that while
Really?
designing. Yeah, it's a pure like maybe listen to music, but it has to be, yeah. Or like if I watch TV, it has to be something I've seen already.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I mean, anybody talking can kind of like get in your flow. Some like if I'm typing something or like writing emails, I can't listen to somebody
Oh,
talking.
yeah.
It's like too much chatter. So I guess like see where you're coming from. So yeah, I'm just kind of doing the same treatment on these guys, giving them rounded corners, get rid of these borders. I'll add a nice soft drop shadow. That was like about 5, and this was about, what did I have up here?
Yeah, let us know on the stream, on the chat, what you guys kind of listen to podcast-wise. If you have any suggestions for other people, yes, I think to Howard's points, these streams are great to listen to while working. That's true. Hopefully, settle enough in the background.
Yeah, Cody making a fool of himself on live stream. It's gonna be great to listen to. No, this is super fun. Definitely the live element adds a little bit more of a challenge to designing, but I think it's super fun.
Well, you're good at like articulating out loud also like while you're designing. I think that can be hard sometimes to do because I feel like every day you're not sitting at your desk like talking out loud, describing what
Oh,
you're
yeah.
designing.
I'd be a weirdo
So-
if I was doing that. Why is Cody talking to himself again?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just rounding the bottom left corner and then the top left corner for this card. And then we'll get rid of these wireframe guys.
So Jonathan in the chat asked, what other bands like Imagine Dragons do you listen to, Cody? And I think obviously we saw that you designed a poster for Imagine Dragons a
Yeah.
couple years ago. So
That's a good question. I like Arcade Fire, like Radiohead. I like a lot of I don't know, like indie music as well. So like yeah, Imagine Dragons is definitely indie. I just saw a band called Fantagram up in Pomona pretty recently. They were pretty awesome. Kind of like indie electronic, I guess you could say. But when I'm designing, like I typically will listen to a lot of like, I think we were talking about it earlier, like Bonobo and like just more of like, kind of like no lyrics sometimes, just kind of getting like a vibe, you know? Like Tycho is good, Tori Ma, like the list goes on. I could talk about this all day, but yeah, I don't know, just anything really that like I feel like kind of like keeps me in like a cool, oh, there's a new band that I listen to called Khruangbin. I think I'm saying that right, Khruangbin. You should look them up though. They're very kind of like surf rock, like global sound. Like it's just like a little bit of everything, and it's one of those bands that you could put on and almost everybody would probably like it. You know what I mean? So definitely take a listen after this.
solid recommendations by
Yeah.
Cody.
So yeah, I'm like talking too much about music now. Sorry,
No,
guys.
you're good.
But yeah, these are
That's
starting
what
to
the
look
people
cool.
want to know.
People want to know about the music.
People want to know.
So these are looking pretty cool. I'll add some images to these. Got a little clam chowder guy right here. Do you do clam chowder?
Yes. Love
Okay.
clam chowder.
This one has like a cool like modern bowl that I found. Kind of fits the vibe because we're doing like these like dark images.
Yeah, I was going to say that dark, like off-gray photography style is nice. I love a good chowder bowl.
Chowder.
Chowder.
I think I have this image as like a component. That's why it's doing that. But let's see.
Can you try dropping the two at the same time into the first one?
Oh yeah, because
See
this is
if
the
that-
first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
curiosity.
That's what I've been doing wrong.
There
I've
you
been
go.
going for the
Okay.
second one. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Because I think this is like the parent component, so it'll affect all
It'll
these
start.
guys.
Yeah, because it kind of looks at it and then it'll do like alternate 1, 2, or if you put 3 in, it'll start from the top.
See, I'm learning so much already. And I'm going to change the spacing a little bit. I think I might minimize my blur by like 10 so it's not leaking off as much. Cool. So these are some nice little cards. Let's just see what that looks like real quick. So we have that persistent logo. It's kind of cool. All right. Maybe we can do
Looking
like
good.
a tab interaction here. So like when you click lunch, what happens before we go into the basket? Because I know people love interactions. So let's give ourselves some space. And let's duplicate this entire artboard.
Also, to Rachel Cho, who's in the chat, who just mentioned the Harry Potter audiobooks, I feel you.
Harry
That's
Potter's
all I'll
great.
say.
I'm thinking about being Harry Potter for Halloween.
No, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Are you really?
Yeah. Perhaps.
I can't. I can't even. Like, I literally can't.
I can't even. So what we want to do here is, so you could click lunch and then this little line could kind of come over and replace, or not replace, but just take the spot of the lunch area. So let's make this guy, let's go to our prototype tab, make sure we have lunch selected, and then drag over to this artboard. And on this artboard, which I didn't do properly the first time, but we have to kind of make the change that you want to happen. So in this case, I want this little line to come over, I want to kind of slide over. Oops. And then I want lunch to go to 100%. And then I want brunch to go to, what do we have? 31%. So that's what we want to happen. Let's see if that works. Let's also make sure that it's select auto animate real quick. It's on overlay right now. Tap, auto animate.
Good catch. Yeah, the interactions for prototyping mode will usually stay true to whatever like your last like trigger was. So
Right.
because we did overlay last, it was on that setting.
Yeah, so you can see that's working. Click lunch.
Ooh,
Kind of slides
nice.
over. It's a little slow. I might speed that up. So I can click on that element again, maybe like a 0.4. And I have it set to ease in and out, so it has that smooth kind of like in and out animation. So let's try that again. Lunch. Okay, it's a nice little snap. But then we want our content to kind of like shift off screen when that happens. So we can select everything and kind of push it off screen. It's going to be interesting to see how that works with this repeat grid, but we'll take a look. All right, so what you would do is basically slide everything off screen like this, including our text actually. So let's grab all our elements, give ourselves some room. So let's just see. It's a little
Nice.
fast, but you can see how you can kind of make like tabbed sections here. I won't completely do all this, but you can kind of see like at least what that auto animate kind of does for you. It's a little funky with this repeat grid. I'd probably have to go down to like one card for this to work properly, but sort of a neat feature. Kind of tab through things. So yeah, what else? We need to build our cart or our basket.
The Basky.
The basket. I think I started typing like Basky yesterday, so that's for those of you that missed that.
Oh yes.
It's probably best that you missed that.
No, Cody just refers to it as a Basky.
It's my little Basky.
It says Basky.
So I'll just paste these in. bring this up.
Yeah, and Rachel said in the chat, I can't get enough of this color palette. Yeah, and I think it's working super well. Yeah, let us know in the chat of, where you guys kind of come up with your color palettes and like what your process is. There is, how do you typically
for color
choose
palettes?
Colors? Yeah.
There's actually a website that I've visited quite a bit called like Coolors. It's like COOLORS or something. See if you can find that. But they have like a lot of like pre-generated color palettes. Yeah, I think that's it, coolors.co. So that's a good one. You can kind of just browse through. I think like Adobe Cooler has like some good color palettes as well. You can kind of like play around with the different.
Too.
Yeah, there you go. That's super fun because you can kind of get like really neat color palettes that way. And they're all like, you can go like monochromatic. You can like analogous. Try it. Yeah, you've got all the options on your left there.
You can extract it from an image.
I highly encourage you to like try that out because it's a lot of fun. But I think for this palette, I honestly sampled from a lot of the images that I found. So like,
did you? Okay, yeah.
Just kind of like color picking in the images, and
yeah,
when
I think that's a good one for like extracting from an image, which you can do also. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like when I make mood boards, I do that a lot to kind of like help build those like colors that are associated with the images. So yeah, all types of different ways. But I think overall, you start to develop like an eye for color. Like when you're designing like every day, you start to kind of know which colors might work well with each other. But again, when you start previewing stuff on your device, like maybe this blue doesn't work that well all of a sudden, you know? So being able to kind of like iterate on your selections, I think is important. But yeah. So we've got our cards here. I think it'd be cool if this was like a dark color as well, like our, let's see. And then maybe this is like this background color of this button right here, or not button, but this like counter for items is derived from the same color as our background. We just kind of slightly bring it up and then make this like white. So it's not screaming at you, but it's just there, so you know it's kind of more like a subtle kind of element here. And then we have our back button. I might make that white.
Nice. I feel like it's coming along. It's super clean right now. We have a question in the chat for you. While designing interfaces for a portfolio, is it necessary to concentrate on like UX research?
I think if that's a field that you're trying to get more into, if you're trying to be more of like a heavy like UX sort of person, then yeah, definitely show some of that research and that thought process. I think if that's exactly what you're asking, it helps to kind of show potential like hiring managers that like you're thinking about those different things, and I don't know, it's kind of nice to see like what your process is in general, and if it's solving for a problem and things like that. So I wouldn't mind seeing some of that in portfolios because it's super helpful to kind of get inside your mind a little bit. And like even on like this stream, we showed a lot of my process with like wireframing and sketching. So if you can show some of those like rough kind of like pieces at the very beginning, then I think that if it is like a UX role you're looking for, then I think the hiring managers are going to look for stuff like that. So
totally. Yeah, I think that's all great advice. I feel like definitely what people are looking for in your portfolio a lot of time also is your process. So if it's part of your process, like including at least a little bit of that. But what you put on your portfolio is the type of work you're going to get. So like to Cody's point, like if you really want to get into more of the research side of things, then that's something that I would show. If it's something you're a little less interested in maybe, then putting a little less of that type of work on your portfolio and putting the type of areas that you want to focus on, putting that to the forefront, because what people see is kind of what they're going to come to you for on your portfolio.
Yeah, I just talked to a student the other day that wanted to, he was showing like one or two projects on his portfolio that were like streaming, like Twitch streaming related.
Yeah.
And he's like, should I put more of this stuff on there, or should I put more of like this like other project that I have? I think it was like maybe like a dental thing. I'm like, honestly, just put the work on there that you, like you said, like that you want to get. So if you want to work in the gaming industry and like Twitch kind of streaming stuff, then like keep putting that stuff on there and like get really dialed in on that, because number one, that's a big market right now is like video game streaming. So I think that there's probably like a need for somebody that is like very like niche into that industry. So I would highly recommend like going for what you want, you know?
Totally. Yeah, great question. Keep them coming in the chat. Thank you.
So I made this blue just because it's like a sort of like a secondary type of button. I want to reserve that darker color for the main call to action, because you basically have two buttons on this page. Oops. So I'm thinking here like it kind of sums up what your total is.
Yeah, I like how you have it also like flush sort of all the way to the edges, since it's sort of like the main final action there.
So we've got, so that's where you would place your order. Might make these a little bit darker too. Bring these down a little bit. Maybe we could even put like up here how long you should expect your food to take. So like, right, we have the individual ones, but like maybe it's like in total it's gonna take 30 minutes. So we can take our elements. Copy, paste. Oh, I got responsive resize on again. So maybe we just say like total wait time, I guess. Make sure that's centered too.
Yeah, and to Mia's point on the chat, like she said, as a beginner to portfolios, you can create like your own projects to solve real life problems, design them, and use that to build it up. Yeah, I think like if you don't have a project that you're working on that is exactly what you want to be doing, like side projects or like kind of like how like Cody's designing right now, not for a very specific project. Like you're not actually designing for Portside Cafe. It's like this made up sort of project. Side projects can be a good time to kind of build up your portfolio with the type of stuff that you want to work on if you aren't actually working on jobs that are the exact projects that you want, or if you're just early on kind of doing side projects or things that are exactly what you want to do to build up your portfolio are always good.
I mean, I do a lot of just fun projects for myself that are things that I like to work on. So I started doing like can design and things like that, which aren't types of projects that I've ever worked on. But I thought like, hey, if I've designed for, you know, websites and I've done a little bit of packaging, like why not kind of challenge myself to design for a can, like maybe like a coffee can or something like that. And I was actually able to get some work because I put myself out there for like a local coffee shop that wants me to design their cans. So I don't know, it's cool. Like you never know what you'll find in the world as far as like getting like new gigs if you don't publish that work and like show people what you're capable of. So that's a totally good point. Like nice. I've done it myself. All right.
Yeah, and we're about 10 minutes away from, a little more than 10 minutes from the design feedback section of today. So make sure that if you're working on the XD Creative Challenge, the information's on the challenge tab, that you're starting to wrap those up a little bit and send them through Discord, and then Cody and myself will be able to take a look on the stream and provide some feedback.
Yes. That was fun yesterday looking at different submissions.
Yeah, it's really great to see what you guys are all working on in XD, and kind of from like beginners to more professional. It doesn't really matter what your skill level is, just like to see the type of work that you guys are kind of doing, where you take the challenges is super fun for us.
Definitely. Yeah, there's some cool ones that came through for sure. A lot of interactivity that I saw in some of those too, like.
Yeah, with the car one we saw yesterday, it was kind of like they had it moving down on the actual map, which was cool.
Yeah, that car, like the little line and the path of where it was going. Let's see. This might be a little bit big. I don't know, just something that kind of shows. This might be a little bit darker. Because it's super helpful, like come to your basket, you kind of know like roughly how long it's going to take. So you're not sitting there like biting your nails like, I'm really hungry right now. Like,
yeah. I feel like, yeah, it's very common that when you order food, you want to know how long it's going to take.
Oh yeah, you don't want to get hangry.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of helpful. Do I like this blue though? I don't know. I guess it's all right. I always like get scared of adding like making buttons red because then it feels like you're doing something wrong. So like I don't know if that's gonna be. I think we'll stick with the blue.
Yeah, it's a good thing to know. I feel there's like certain colors that are associated with certain actions, like red's typically like delete or like
Right.
alert or like something like that. So when you use it in your design, you kind of have to be careful.
So now what we can do is make sure that this page is linked to our actual basket. So I'm going to go ahead and select a little basket, and I'm just going to drag this over. Probably got to zoom out a little bit more first. Grab this little blue arrow, bring it over to my basket page, and I think we'll just have it, instead of a auto animate, we'll just have it be a transition, and it can push left maybe. Let's see what that looks like. That's cool. I'm okay with that. And then we have to make this actually functional, this back button. So I'm going to select it. And I believe you can set it to go back to the previous artboard. So let's see. Tap, transition, push left. We'll actually have it push right because it came from the left originally. I'm just going to select the artboard. So let's see that. That's
Nice.
cool. Let's see, we still got about 7 minutes. Maybe we can add a search bar that kind of like pops up over the design when you click the little search. And again, I'm avoiding the footer just because I personally, they're so boring to design. That's what it'll look
Yeah.
like. Just here, we could just color it real quick. We'll just make this. We'll grab our logo. I was against doing this, but we're gonna do it.
I feel like as a designer, it's hard to resist.
You're like, I gotta finish.
Yeah.
All right, we'll add our social media icons. No, footers are awesome. You need them. Let's see here. Let's go back to our plugins for the icons. I think that they have social. Let's see, Twitter. Oh yeah, they do. Copy that. Little Twitter bird. Is there a name for the Twitter bird?
That's a good question. I don't know.
There's gotta be.
Let us know in the chat if you know the answer to that.
Yeah.
If the bird has a name.
And I'm just gonna sample from the background color and just come up a little bit, so it's a little bit lighter than the actual background. What else? Like Instagram?
Yeah. Gotta add the gram.
Gotta add the gram. And like you could get really specific on here and like make sure that this is like, I don't know, like 25. And you can put this little lock on here so it keeps it constrained, but we're just gonna kind of plop it in for now. And you want to make sure these are kind of spaced out far apart enough so that your thumb doesn't actually click both of them. So I might come over a little bit more. Maybe we'll just center those for now. There we go. So it's like
Got our footer.
Subtle little, yeah, we got our footer going on.
Nice. And since you had it as a component, it's updated everywhere, which is nice too.
And I can just extend this artboard down a little bit more. It's getting cropped. Cool. What were we gonna do? Oh yeah, search bar. We got 5 minutes. Let's see what we can do. Actually, you know what? Let's make this. Let's drag this out with responsive resize.
I don't know if so in the chat, Daniel said Larry Bird, apparently after the former NBA player. I'm like, is that real? Is that a joke, or is that like the actual answer? I don't know.
Larry Bird. Oh, maybe. Like,
Really?
maybe he is. The Twitter
Larry
bird?
Yeah, the Twitter bird.
This one's taking a while because we got that little 15,000 points on the lobster.
Well, we have a question from Mia, like, how big should your color palette be? Do you often find yourself adding colors later?
Yeah, I think that you want to have like a lot of neutral colors, like like this darker one, like a white and some like lighter grays as like your foundation, your base, and you can like build on top of that. In this case, I only have like 3 different colors. It really just depends on the project and what it calls for. Like I'm using this kind of gold very sparingly. It's just every now and then to kind of like call something out. Whereas
it's the mustard. It's just that condiment.
It's
Just
that,
adding it.
yeah. I had a
We were talking
Cubano
about
sandwich
mustard
yesterday.
earlier, yeah.
And it was super good. Paco didn't like mustard,
He
so
does not like. He like very strongly.
I don't know how you can't like
dislikes
mustard, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it really just depends on the project. You can get like Twitch just redesigned. I keep talking about Twitch, but they just redid their brand and they have a ton of different colors in their kind of like new brand look and feel. So it really just depends. I think just be like mindful of when you're using it and if it actually serves a purpose rather than just adding it to make something look cool. I wanted to build this brand up by having a few different colors so that maybe even like the interior of the restaurant could leverage these colors or something like that. So, but yeah, good question.
Yeah, and I think to the point that Cody made on yesterday's stream when we talked a little bit about the beginning and like starting with the certain colors as well, like he added them in the assets panel. That way, if like later on, like, a client comes back and says, hey, I actually really don't like that red or whatever, then you can really quickly update that one color in your assets panel and it'll change across your entire document, which is super, makes your life a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then I feel like having just a couple to start with, like you'll find that you end up maybe adjusting one of the colors or adding 1 or 2 sort of as you go, as you realize the contrast maybe isn't working for what you need. Or like Cody's been doing, you've kind of been playing with some of the, like even just with the social media icons at the bottom, like choosing from the actual color and then maybe choosing a tone that's a little darker or lighter for what
Right.
you're using.
Yeah, that's always a good way to just kind of like stay within the same color family as if you sample from something that you already have, I find is helpful. So I'm just making sure that these are fixed to the left because when I dragged it out, it was kind of doing some funky stuff. So, and I don't think I grouped these 2 together, so that's why you saw them kind of like skewing away from each other. So when you are using responsive resize, group the elements that you want to keep together. Kind of just coming in here and making sure everything's set nicely. I don't mind if those kind of come out a little bit. Let's see what that does. Sorry, my computer's a little slow because of this lobster, very intricate lobster.
Imagine if that lobster was on my computer. My computer's already starting to do the fan thing, and I don't even
Yeah.
have that lobster on mine.
Man.
I literally just opened like 4 more Chrome tabs, and it decided to freak out.
Oh man. So yeah, this is looking kind of cool, and see that we have this set up as a repeat grid, so it's adding more columns. I might just go like this and just center. Maybe you only get 2 columns here or something like that. And we'll center this guy.
Yeah, and Cornelian, I hope you're not butchering your name, but you're asking for some features in Adobe XD. Yeah, Val in the chat has kindly put adobeXD.uservoice.com. But if you go there, you can put in requests for features that you want to see in Adobe XD. Or if there's like bugs, you can mark those and just kind of provide feedback for us on what you would like to see in the application. And the team takes a look at all of those requests, and you'll kind of see that people are already putting some, so you can upvote on ones that you agree you want to have in the application. And then we'll take a look at that feedback, and the team actually prioritizes all of those things. And as we've talked about earlier, Adobe Max is coming up in early November, and Howard hinted a little bit, but there will be some awesome new Adobe XD updates that will be shared at that time.
Super excited about that.
Yeah. And thanks, Daniel. I guess Larry Bird. I believe you. If you say it's Larry Bird, I believe you.
Oh, is that
so
Danny
thanks
Duffer?
for putting that in.
So I can actually move this down. Maybe on tablet we get more rows. I'll have to fix my spacing here though. So yeah, definitely have to do a little bit of like fine tuning with the responsive resize, but so far I actually kind of like how these are spaced out more or less. And I kind of do like the idea of them still being like a little bit off the page. So if you want to keep scrolling, since tablet's like all touch. And you could even like maybe independently swipe those, you know. So if you're scrolling left on this one, like this one stays fixed on the bottom. It's just kind of fun to interact with cards on a tablet, I think.
Nice. Yeah, so I think we are at the countdown time so let's maybe transition over to the XD Creative Challenge. So I pulled up a couple of the latest submissions in Discord, so thanks for sending those through. So we're just going to provide some feedback on some of the ones that you guys have sent in. All right, so this first one, someone posted on their Behance, Gladstone Davis. So let's take a look.
I think Gladstone was in the chat too.
Oh, Gladstone, if you're here, we're taking a look at your design. Cool.
This is sweet.
Yeah, so we have a video preview.
Ocular. Ooh, he's got the overlay drawer.
Nice. I like how the card, like the one that's in the center, is kind of larger, and then you have the smaller ones. It's really subtle, but it's nice.
That was fun. Look at that happy
Fun
little earth.
filters, yeah. And then saving it.
Did you illustrate those yourself, Gladstone? That's nice. I like the success screen too. Success screen.
Yeah.
This is cool.
This looks great. Oh, let's try it out.
Click to launch an interactive prototype.
Yeah, and then some main screens. Yeah, I think this is also a great like example of like a Behance post that has like a little bit of some main screen, something you can click through. Let's see if this is the interactive. Awesome. Okay, let's go through.
Oh, that's the actual link?
This is the actual, yeah, I can like click through this
See,
myself.
that's another cool thing for
really nice.
your portfolio is to actually have a working prototype link with Adobe XD like on your website. Like show the actual screens and all that, and then add an actual like live link, because that would be super fun to interact with anybody really that's visiting your website.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool, yeah, it gives you a sense that you can actually like play with it yourself, which is really
I like the colors too. Like I was talking about the red buttons earlier. Like I tend to stay away from them, but in this, it works really well. I think like it works really well with that blue. It's kind of like part of that brand, you know.
Yeah, like this here, like this little preview. I love how also you put it like on this like mock-up of a phone. Makes it feel like really real right there too. I wonder if you used the plugin, the angle plugin I was talking about earlier.
Oh yeah.
Or if you did that yourself.
That's really nice.
Cool.
I like that you're bringing those like circle elements in as like part of like a branding element as well. It really ties it together. I think for this image, maybe like do like a subtle gray on your background so it kind of looks like it's all still in the same space. But this is really awesome.
Yeah.
Nice
Cool.
work.
Thank you for the submission. All right, let's check out another one we have here. Okay, so let's see. Where do you want to go? Click on that.
I like the fonts.
Find a pool. All right, so I see where I am, so I can click on.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. So, ooh.
Gordon will pass you around 10:04 and could drop you off in here. Okay.
All right, so let's join this pool. Oh, I like that there's an interstitial, kind of like you're joining.
Using some time transitions there.
Yep. Find your next pool.
I love that transition right there.
Yeah. I like this. I love this like graphic here of sort of having the car come off a little bit and kind of this drop shadow here with the circle. I think that like sort of graphic is really nice.
Yeah, it really frames the page nicely.
Yeah, and
Ooh,
it's
I
cool
like
actually
that.
to do this next option, this like transit of sliding through and just having the car change.
See, it's those little like details that make you want to interact with an app. You know, like this is a really good job at those drag features.
I'm just continue just hold on, next option.
You got the Mustang? Is that those?
Oh yeah, very fancy.
Nice. This trip
Only
producer.
reduced it by 3%.
Oh man.
I think this is really, like, graphically, it's really clean. I think also it's interesting because there's not much color in this
Yeah.
one in comparison. But I think because, like, you've played with sort of, like, the different, like, weights in your fonts and, like, the type that you chose and kind of, like, the boldness of, like, the numbers and the
Yeah.
everything, it's still, like, really clear and, like, visually clean.
Yeah, it feels very sophisticated and very like high end for like, oh, you're gonna be getting a guy with like a nice like suit that's gonna drive you around, you know? Like,
Yeah.
that's what it seems like. I like it.
Yeah. Awesome.
And all your images are very similar. You know, they're all those cars are kind of like from the same angle. So I think there's a lot of continuity in
Yeah.
your imagery, which is nice.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Nice work.
Great, thank you. Okay, so it already is like animating a little. Let's go to the home. All right, so we have, this one's more on the tablet versus we've been seeing some phone designs happening here. So this is all on a timer. So you have environmental impact.
Oh, cool.
So it looks like as you're adding, right, elements to your cart, you're kind of seeing
Becoming
your
more
impact
green.
here. Yeah.
So how do we get
Let's
that
push
to
it
the
again.
top then? We got to add
Yeah.
more items. This
I
is
like at the
cool.
beginning it says like waiting scanning. So you're actually, so this is the scanning. Yep.
Oh, look, there's also little like fun facts on the right when you add things,
Ooh, nice.
or little like, you know, encouraging messages.
Yeah.
I love when apps kind of like talk to me, like they're like personified in a sense, like, good job, Cody, like you ran 2 miles, like whatever, like stuff like that makes me feel like, you know, just super happy about using the app and kind of just like as a positive experience, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that like having a little bit of personality or like some like good job, yay,
Mhm.
is really nice. Yeah, I like also since it is like this checkout experience, kind of having this little receipt type of like this graphic that you used here is kind of
Yeah.
nice. And then like you have all of your elements that you're adding in here, and then like the little note is super nice as well. And it's fun to see. It's nice to see a tablet design, kind of someone thinking on like an Android tablet versus we've been seeing a lot of phone devices.
Yeah, totally.
All right, let's take a look at another one. Thank you for sending that in for feedback. All right, we have our other scan one here, so I'll go ahead and put that at home.
Ooh.
So another take on it, very different.
I love that little like number percentage counter right there on the right side, so that how that like changes as you add different things.
Yeah, I'll play it again. Like the the coffee with the smiley face.
I thought it was a pumpkin from here. I couldn't tell. It's coffee, yeah.
Yeah.
This is cool. A lot of circle treatments today, I've noticed.
Yeah,
I like 'em.
There's a lot of imagery like that. Yeah, I agree. I think that the like animation style coming in, I think also like you very clearly thought about like bringing in your elements from the left side and kind of bringing them in individually that way, which is interesting as well. And then I like how, you know, you thought about like quantity, like if you want to increase each individual one, kind of like having an element like that, which is a nice detail as well.
Totally.
Yeah, I think it's clean, like pretty simple.
I think maybe on the navigation bar you could go to like a white and then like kind of like reverse the colors so there's a little bit more, because you have so much color going on, like just to kind of like give yourself a little bit of a visual break up there. And then you could even maybe have your name or, you know, the uShop 247 could be in that green color to kind of complement a little bit. But overall, I think this looks really, really nice, and there's a lot of cool stuff happening with the interactivity. Like you said, stuff coming in from the left, the percentage on the right. I think that's nice that that's big and bold because it's kind of like the main thing that you're focusing on here.
Yeah.
So yeah, good work.
Yeah, I think my only other suggestion too would be sort of thinking about the placement of these buttons you have here of like the order now and cancel. They're not quite like center aligned, but they're not also not like fully like to the left or anything. So I might think about like how you're like aligning everything. So either like the end of here and the end of here, like if you're centering the elements to that, just visually, because it feels like it's kind of doesn't really know exactly where it wants to be.
Totally.
So I might think about that spacing a little bit more.
Maybe even make the order now a little bit bigger, like, you know, and like if you want to keep it where it is, just kind of expand it to the where items kind of lines up, you know?
Yeah.
Because this does look like what, a tablet size maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an Android tablet.
Yeah, I don't mind if like tablet buttons are a little bit bigger because they're, you know, you kind of want to just have something like nice to click, so you make sure that you click that button.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, let's take a look at maybe one more.
Yeah.
Are you good? Okay. One more.
I love looking at these.
I will. Oh, we are at the home. Okay. Let's see. We can.
Whoa.
Whoa.
We got a lot going on here. Cool.
Okay.
Okay, so
We
it's
have
a
this-
switchboard.
Yeah, switchboard.
Global waste, water, energy.
So I guess on the different floors of the building, we have the different usage.
Oh, I
Wow, so a
see.
lot of this is hooked up. I'm just trying to see where I should,
Where you should click.
next. Yeah, I'm like, let me click on the water here.
All right.
So we have basically a chart, I feel like, down below.
It's very infographic-y.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting like use of like the design, like a very different interface, like because we're kind of seeing just like using the animations to animate like this infographic that you have versus necessarily like someone trying to like come in and like get, you know, order something.
Okay, so you have some stats that are kind of changing on the left-hand side, bottom left there.
I think one thing that I like is sort of this idea of like the switchboard of having these gosh, what are they called? The switch
Yeah.
buttons happening here, like the on and
Little
off, the
toggles.
toggles. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, toggle,
I
thank
was
you.
like, toggles, is that the word you're looking for?
Yes, it is. I was like, I'll just keep describing things until Cody says what it is. Yeah, the toggle idea I think is really nice of going like turning it sort of on and off, so you're kind of seeing, and I think it goes well with your idea of kind of like the energy and everything like that. I think the transitions could be even faster in the animation just because like they are
Right.
like pretty slow. Like sometimes it takes a while for things to happen.
I like the iconography for like water and energy. I think that the power switch for global waste kind of looks like it might do the same thing as energy though, because it's also an on-off switch sort of. So I might consider making that a different icon so that you don't have something that's too similar to the energy one. You know, if it's global waste, I don't know, maybe like a trash can or something closer to that.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I like that there's like a section for those up top right. Good
Cool.
section. I might reduce the amount of colors a little bit too, so that way we have a little bit more we can focus on. But overall, I like the layout that you have going on here. Really like that switchboard. Makes me want to interact with it. Just like
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear that this is sort of like your menu a little bit of kind of like how it's going to start to change the graphic and chart down here. Kind of like you have like this key kind of happening as well. So I think that that's sort of working in your favor as well.
Yeah, containing like main elements and like, you know, sections like that is really helpful for like knowing where to look for certain types of information.
Yeah, super interesting take. So thank you for sending this in
Yeah, thank you.
and allowing us to give you guys some feedback. Cool. So that I think is all of the submissions we're going to take a look at today for the daily creative challenge. But make sure that you're like these will continue to happen and we'll unlock a couple more as the week continues. And whoever is on the stream will be able to provide you guys some feedback. So make sure that you're checking those out. It's a great opportunity to just get your work out there, kind of practice and put yourself out there to get feedback. I know it can be a little nerve-wracking.
It's fun to
but
like.
good job, everyone.
It's fun to give yourself a time limit too. Like I know these are timed, but it allows you to be a little bit more creative in like a tight, like in some parameters, you know. So when you're challenged to get something done in like a day, like you really kind of have to think about like what's necessary to put into these and like I don't know. It's just a good like problem solving kind of like practicing like technique to like I'll time myself sometimes when I'm sitting down like at a coffee shop and I want to like get an idea out. I'm like, cool. I only have 45 minutes. Like that's what I'm gonna give myself, and you'd be surprised what you come up with that like sort of pressure, like soft pressure. You know what I mean? So
I feel like
fun.
I could just, if I don't have a deadline, I might just design forever.
Yeah.
Like you can just nitpick on it, and it's great, like a little kind of like to step away if you have something else going on and just kind of like do a little
yeah.
challenge for a little while.
Totally.
Sweet. Okay, well, so with that, we can head back over to Cody's designs that he's been working on. I feel
Yeah.
like they're coming along really nicely.
Yeah, let's just kind of like take a look at what we've done so far. Again, like I might spend more time like finessing all of these pieces for the tablet, but just, you know, we kind of looked at responsive resize and how we could take this mobile size here and really just start to expand things out and rearrange items. Like this is looking a little small for me, so I might want to consider sizing that up a little bit. But as you can see, like it's starting to do some cool stuff here, and you know, because we used our repeat grid, we're getting more cards that are peeking off here. So, and then we started designing, you know, the build order page. Again, I would probably come in here and spend a little bit more time kind of finessing all the elements, but I think that what's cool about this is that you do have continuity between your different screens. So say I was to come into this cafe and order from my phone, and then I walk over and I see somebody that's using a tablet, I'm like, oh, he's definitely on the same app I'm on. You know, like I think that's super important to have that consistency. And look at these beautiful dishes here.
I thought you were literally about to be like, look at these oysters. I'm like, oh, come on.
This looks like some kind of like cool like pasta of some sort.
Yeah.
But yeah, and let's take a look at those interactions that we added again real quick. So we've got, I think we have like a drag gesture over here. Scroll down. Maybe this could even be like animated like slightly, like could be like a slight scroll as you're scrolling down the page. Get fancy with it. But yeah, this is fun. I might need to add the same interaction back to get back to those other cards if you want to swipe left and right. So let's just see, prototype, drag. Let's see if that worked. Yeah,
Nice.
now we can get back. So yeah, little things like that. I think prototyping and adding interactivity to your apps really helped us sell your concept to your client, to your colleagues, and just like anybody really that might be using this. Like you might actually take this out to a cafe that exists now and be like, hey, is this something that you would actually want to use? Like, do you think it's beneficial for your company? And having that real like that prototype in their hands can really sell it and just kind of make it come to life and feel like a real legitimate you know, application. So I think learning these features is super important to kind of help sell yourself and sell your designs.
Yeah, I also feel like it's been nice, like in your process too, like going to prototyping mode, like here and there as you start to design out elements. I feel like I've found in my workflows as I start to do that, I'll also find like, oh, like this, maybe I need to change the design now, or like, hey, I forgot to add this screen, I should do this. And once you actually start to like play and bring things to life in prototyping mode.
Totally.
So I feel like, you know, kind of going back and forth between design mode and prototyping mode in the process is sometimes I find myself doing that a lot too.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, I geek out on stuff like this, and anytime you can like see what your design looks like on an actual device is super awesome. Because like, I feel like we haven't been able to do that for like the longest time. Maybe like the last 5 or 6 years, we've been able to like preview on our actual devices.
Yeah.
You'll see some developers that'll have like every device at their house because they want to make sure that it looks perfect on like a tablet, a laptop, and like, even like device like some like old phone that you might not use anymore. They'll have that in their house just to kind of like preview on, or like a smartwatch or something.
Well, we had a question in the chat from Mia around like, do you work closely with developers during this phase when working on a project? So maybe talking a little bit more about like, when do you work with developers and sort of what's that process like?
Yeah, ideally you get the developers kind of like in the process very, very early on, even when you're like wireframing, because you don't want to pitch something to a client that is not feasible within like the timeline, or maybe there's just like not enough like resources to kind of get that done. So I think having like conversations early on with developers is super important. Also, it's fun to kind of collaborate because they might have some cool ideas that you wouldn't have thought of when you're just kind of sitting here designing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're the ones like developing and making things actually function properly. So having that that extra perspective is super important. And I don't know, I just think that like when you're working with a developer, you learn a ton. You can actually see, you can try to like break things like on purpose to see if like, you know, if that functionality is gonna like basically when you launch your app, you kind of want to like test it, you know, so you'll put it in somebody's hands and you kind of force them to break it. And developers are the ones that are going to know how to like combat those different issues and be like, hey, you know, again, we talked about this yesterday, but like your images are sized too big. Like we need to like resize those, or you know, the fonts aren't properly loading because you're not using the right kind of like web font sort of thing. So there's a lot you can learn from just working with developers. But yeah, and then when you have your app kind of like in a good place, you want to export everything in a proper way. So I'll usually ask like, do you want PNGs or do you want like SVGs for like icons? It really just depends on who you're working with and what their typical process looks like. So I think the more developers you work with, the better you get at like understanding like the things that you need to keep in mind in your process and things like that. So
yeah, I think it's a good point too that every developer is different. Like some, they have different working styles, and I've also found like each developer I work with, I work with them depending on how they like to work as well a little bit, so we kind of figure out what's the best way. Yeah, there's definitely the share for development for like redlining that like automatically when you create a link, it just redlines everything for you and like pulls out and says like exactly what fonts you use or the colors, so you can send that like directly to your developer. I find like some of my developers want that. Some developers just want like my hard XD file, like they love to just go in themselves. So it like kind of also depends who you're working with in that regard. But there are like, this like XD has this share functionality, so you can share out a link, just like a typical link, and create a password and share it with anyone, and they can open it up in Chrome or their web browser and
it's super helpful for them. Like, because you have all the specs in there, you can even like download images from that link, and this has become like a big piece for our agency. We love sharing out for development because it's like basically their cheat sheet on the design, so they don't have to open up XD if they don't want to. And you could, like you said, like some developers are different. You could just export, you could go to File, Export, and just export different assets that way. Maybe like save those in a folder so they're all kind of like neat. But there's flexibility within this software, which is super nice.
Totally.
So,
Did that link work, or was it?
It's still loading. It's kind of hefty. It's that lobster that we have in there.
Oh, it's the lobster. I was like, wow, like is our internet really? It's that lobster.
So learn from me, guys. Don't use a vector that has 15,000 points.
15,000 points.
It'll slow down your workflow. Because XD is never really slow for me, even with all these images.
I never have,
It's that kind of graphic that'll do that to you.
I have vectors, in general.
But it's almost there. Create a public link. So yeah, you can, like you said, you can password protect. That way, you know, if you have some sensitive information or it's a project that there might be like NDAs on, you can make sure that only certain people have the password or access to, which is super nice.
I find it's just easy to Slack a link over to someone instead of like sending a huge file or like something like that for them, and then they can just leave me comments and it'll notify me when they leave comments like directly in that link, and I can go back. So I definitely find that that's how I end up sharing my work a lot of the times throughout like the company to get feedback on things.
Yeah, totally.
And like click through prototype that they can actually like click through, so that's nice as well.
So we've got a few minutes left. I just wanted to show you guys real quick for people that are tuning in. We have these designs that we kind of walk through for the Seaside Cafe. Oh look, our link is good. This is where we started earlier with our first stream yesterday. We started with like rough sketches, and then we actually went into wireframes, which I can't show you now because we designed over them. But yeah, this is where where we're at now, at the end of the stream almost.
Yeah, you've done an awesome job. I'm super appreciative of having Cody on the stream today. Hope that all of you in the chat have also really enjoyed having Cody. He flew in all the way from San Diego to join us on the stream. So it's been awesome to like get a sneak peek into your process and everything like that. And to hear the questions that you all have on the chat is really exciting as well. So yeah, any last thoughts, any last words of wisdom for everyone? Just throwing you on the spot there.
I think, I know, right? I think just constantly push yourself to learn as much as you can. Like, I'm still learning every day. So like, whether it's like through YouTube tutorials or going to like meetups and like being around, like surrounding yourself with other creative people is super awesome. Just like, you're always going to continue to learn. And I think that's super important. So maybe that's my word of advice is learn as much as you can, you know?
Bam. Emerald Lagasse at the end.
Bam, yeah. I need to add some bam to my next design.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we're super thankful to have you on. It's been a great stream. And thank you all for tuning in. There will be more Adobe live streams throughout the week, so make sure that you're tuning back in because there will be more tomorrow. But we really appreciate it, and thank you all for joining us.
Thanks, guys.